Ahead on Frontiers, an ode to summer as we revisit the return of the kings to the Kuskokwim, what those fish mean to families up and down the Cusco.
Never thought a dog could make such a difference.
A service dog, how his work changed lives in Unalakleet, and the next chapter in his life.
Everything has to be at its prime.
A gourmet experience hidden away in Halibut Cove, why dinner here is on many a bucket list.
Alaska, where there are old triumphs, but also new frontiers, with challenges as great as the state itself, but a belief the best is yet to come, bringing you the faces, the places, and the spirit of the last frontier. This is Frontiers with Rhonda McBride.
Welcome to Frontiers, where we're going to take a look back on some of our favorite stories this summer. And one of the big mysteries on many rivers in our state, what has caused king salmon runs to crash? Well, in the summer of 2013, families on the Kuskokwim River saw the lowest king numbers on record, and families in the region saw their main source of food disappear. We take you to Bethel, one of the main battlegrounds to save the kings, and where this summer, for the first time in a long time, there are signs of hope. Solstice on the Kuskokwim. It not only marks the longest day of the year, but also the end of a season of sacrifice, and perhaps the beginning of a season of joy.
For Bethel and the Kuskokwim Delta, for today mostly sunny.
Bethel and communities along the Kuskokwim River.
It's 8:08 a.m. and 51 degrees outside.
Wake up to some welcome news.
There's a 72-hour opening from noon today to noon Friday on the Kuskokwim River and its tributaries.
After several years of drastic steps to save the king run, their numbers have come back, strong enough to allow another subsistence harvest. To appreciate just what this means, we take you back to the summer of 2014. Tim Andrew was our guide. As a native leader, he understood the magnitude of this fisheries disaster.
There's some salmon that are up there, but the next one is empty, and it's just ghostly empty.
We retraced our journey of 2 years ago. The ghostly silence replaced by the sweet smell of smoke. Still, the trauma lingers.
People throughout the winter have come upon shortages of dried salmon to feed their families.
But for the first time in years, people have caught what they need.
People are putting fish away. They're a lot more happy. There's people in the fish camp, kids swimming, smoke rising up.
We return to the same fish camp near Napaskiak we visited 2 years ago. A beehive of excitement and joy as families work together to handle the fish, a mix of several kinds of salmon.
I'm so happy about the king salmons. I really am.
There was one person we had hoped to see, Father Yago Stephen, a Russian Orthodox priest. But we were sad to learn he's no longer with us. Be thankful, Father Yago called out in Yupik. And compared to our last visit, there is much more to be grateful for. Fishing was allowed earlier in the season, so there were plenty of kings to cut.
Maybe tomorrow make strips.
You can't help but wonder what Father Yago would think about the return of the kings.
He probably sees it up there. Yeah. He's with us.
The people of Napaskiak were among the first to push for a federal takeover of the fishery on the lower half of the river, in hopes federal managers would try harder to balance conservation with the needs of the people. Father Yago's wife Elizabeth says her husband believed this was the right move.
No one will do it for us. We have to stand up and get it.
The passion here for a way of life cuts through everything. Marie Larson wields a sharp ulu, a graceful thing to watch, something she's done since she was 12. Marie makes it look so easy, but to cut a king is truly an art.
This is my husband's for fancy fish.
Marie will share a lot of the fish that hangs here with others, something she was also taught as a child. And also to waste nothing, to use almost every part of the salmon, like the fish head boiling in this pot of soup.
There is it to cook and read.
Whether baked, stretched out to dry, or smoked, the word for fish and food are one and the same in the Yupik language, nikah.
Oh, they're beautiful, you know. They're wonderful to see. It's happiness
Where do you feel the happiness?
in the heart, a gift from the master.
Like the generations of families who have fished the Cusco, these floats stretch out like a string of pearls.
There's quite a few kings today.
Kings that feed more than just the body, but also the soul. This season, there are worries about some of the other species of salmon on the Cusco, the chums and the silvers. Those numbers were low this summer. As for the kings, people are hopeful that the sacrifices they've made over the last 6 years to rebuild the run have now begun to pay off. Still ahead, goodbye and hello.
Really happy.
A service dog loved in Unalakleet and pampered in Willow. Juke's journey of change.
I just want cremation.
No hidden costs, no add-ons.
Cremation is much more affordable.
Dignified, ecological.
I just want something basic. The simpler, the better.
Cremation sure makes a lot of sense. The Cremation Society of Alaska is now serving families in Anchorage and in the Valley, and we are always on the web at alaskacremation.com. Call us today at 277-2777 or in the Valley 373-8627.
Next time on The Real House Pets of Alaska.
So, did you hear? Chloe's having a little work done.
Oh, she's getting spayed? Finally.
Huh?
Oh, don't tell me. You haven't either?
Well, I was thinking about it.
Girlfriend, you need to get that taken care of. Our human finally got a clue. A little nip, tuck, and no more loose kitten.
4 puppies. I can't handle sextuplets again.
All right.
Oh, who you calling?
My surgeon. He's on speed dial.
Get real. Spay or neuter your pets.
You don't have to live in a big city to be a foster parent. You don't have to have a big house, a fancy car, or lots of money. What you need is a home. What you need is a heart that can open to a child who needs you. Won't you become a foster parent today? A child is waiting. Call 1-800-478-7307.
When this fire roared to life yesterday around 1 p.m., it took a lot of people by surprise.
That's where I like to be. I like to be where things are happening, where people are. That's just how I am. I just don't want to sit around behind a desk. I mean, I think it's important to actually be out there telling the stories from where the stories are happening. We're about exceptional journalism, and I think we've really proved that. I think we're working hard every single day to achieve that, and that's what you're going to get.
Summer can be a time of transition, and that was the case for a family in Unalakleet with a son who is autistic. The needs were great and difficult to shoulder, but as Heather Hintze is here to show us, a service dog made all the difference.
Rhonda, Donna and Jeff Erickson's youngest son, Logan, is severely autistic. For the past 6 years, his service dog, Juke, has been by his side. But now Juke is getting too old to do his job, and it's time for a new chapter.
Wow, look at how beautiful.
It's the little things in life you don't miss until they're gone. For Donna Erickson, it was spending time with her husband, living their subsistence way of life.
It was really, really sad to not be able to cut fish and do things that you love to do and not fill your freezer for the winter.
Because cutting fish for hours was too much for a mother past the brink of exhaustion.
Logan, look at Mom. Bye. You're busy.
The Ericksons' youngest son, Logan, was diagnosed with severe autism when he was 2. At 16, he doesn't talk and still wears diapers. Now he spends most of his time in the comfort of his room, but it wasn't always like this.
In a matter of a few seconds, if you turned away and kept him out of your eyesight, he would just disappear. We had to someone always had to keep an eye on him.
That's because his home is surrounded by water. Ocean on one side, the river on the other, and that's where Logan liked to go. When he bolted, the entire village of Unalakleet would get their four-wheelers, even their planes, and search the coast for him. There were close calls more than once.
And he ran out onto the ice and fell into the ocean. And luckily for him, there were some boys playing football on the beach, and they immediately ran out, and one of them dived under and pulled him up. I mean, it was very terrifying.
Oh, my tummy.
A yellow lab named Juke changed all that. He's a service dog, also trained for search and rescue missions to find Logan. Donna had spent years with little sleep, fighting to stay awake to keep her son safe. But that became Juke's job.
Having Juke come into his life really took away a lot of that storm going around him.
Are you happy?
He became Logan's classmate in school. For the first time, the family could go on a vacation, and Logan could finally sleep.
Best friend. Logan in his favorite blanket and his best friend. They were inseparable. There's got to be hundreds of pictures of them like this.
But even the best of friends can be torn apart. A little more than a year ago, Juke was diagnosed with hip dysplasia. He needed surgery and weeks of recovery time. Juke couldn't jump on the bed the way he used to, and Logan pushed him away.
It's been kind of difficult for Juke because his whole life was taking care of Logan, and he would look at me with the saddest eyes and lay in the doorway of Logan's room and look longingly and wanting Logan to love him again. He's been such a good friend.
There was never any shortage of love from the rest of the family, especially from their close friend, Iditarod musher Didi Genre. She played an instrumental role in bringing Juke to the village in the first place.
How could you not love this?
Now she's here to take him home with her.
The only thing is I don't want him to be sad.
What a relief. He did so much for us, and he worked so hard.
Juke's health problems mean the son has set on his time as a service dog.
Logan, Juke's gonna go on an airplane.
The day Donna's been dreading is here.
I'm gonna say goodbye to Juke. He's gonna leave you. He's gonna go live with Didi.
She fights back tears as long as she can. Donna doesn't want to see Juke go, but she knows it's for the best.
Never thought a dog could make such a difference.
Juke's final moments in Unalakleet.
Your last walk down these stairs, Juke.
The end of a major chapter in the Ericksons' lives.
Come on, sweetie pie.
His last time at their home.
Good boy.
One more ride in the car.
As we started out together getting Juke, and now we're ending together the Juke story with Logan.
It's okay. Bye.
An ending to one story,
Bye, Juke.
but the beginning of a new one.
Bye, Juke. Good boy. Such a good boy. Such a good boy. Thank you.
Juke will live out his golden years with Didi and Willow.
Good boy.
But Donna will never forget how he changed her family, how he saved them, the little things he did to make their lives brighter in the dark storm of autism.
And the company Pause for Ability in Ohio is going to give the Ericksons another service dog free of charge. The new dog is currently in training and should be ready for Logan in November.
So, Heather, how is Logan doing in this transition period?
You know, he didn't really understand, I think, when Juke was going to leave. Donna said, you know, Juke's going to go to a new home, and he didn't really understand. Logan doesn't talk, but since Juke has left, he's been saying Juke and why, and doesn't really kind of understand where his best friend has gone. And he even ran away once about a week after Juke left, and Luckily, a neighbor found him and was able to bring him home.
So what about Juke? How is he doing?
Juke is adjusting to his new life pretty well. As I mentioned, he went to go live with Iditarod musher Didi Genre, and I went out to their place to see how he's liking his new life.
Here comes the ranger.
Retirement for Juke means spending time with new friends.
And then we got home here. He was just thrilled. I mean, he walked in, there was all the greetings from, all these dogs that look just like him.
Juke is in good company at Didi Genre's place in Willow with 4 other yellow labs, a Pekingese named Miyagi, and more than 50 sled dogs.
He just walks around and follows me from chore to chore to chore. I'm coming, just a minute.
Didi says she's always been drawn to labs and was happy to make room for just one more.
When you can't afford quality care because of the numbers, or you don't have time to play and fool with them, that's when you have too many.
But you could afford one more.
Well, I could afford him, yeah. My heart wasn't so full that Jukey didn't fit in.
It didn't take long for Juke to adjust to a life of leisure, well-deserved after years of service.
See, he's just a happy, happy boy, laying in the big green lawns.
Well, this wasn't the first time, just like Didi, that you met Logan's mom.
Yes, Donna Erickson. We stay with the Ericksons when we do the Iditarod. 2 years ago, I was able to stay with them, and she is just one of the most incredible women that you will ever meet. She is the best baker. If you ever stop by Donna's house, if you ever go to Unalakleet, she'll probably have a pie and some homemade bread and some homemade jam. Just absolutely incredible.
And always extending a hand of hospitality. All right, thanks. Well, up next, a deliciously Alaskan experience. Dining at Halibut Cove, more than a meal, an adventure.
My garden was excellent, and the berries were plentiful.
The summer of 2016, why in Bristol Bay, it's a summer to remember.
Good morning, I'm Megan Mazurek.
And I'm James Gaddis.
Well, I came to Alaska to fulfill my dream of finally working on a morning show. It's the one thing I want to do. When I got here, it was just a man and his dog. Now I've got a few more priorities, a few more responsibilities. Life has changed for the best in ways that I never imagined. I knew this would be, one of those trips, one of those life-changing ventures coming up here, but I didn't think it would be anything as fulfilling as this.
Join the American Cancer Society in the fight against breast cancer and sign up your team for the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk on October 1st at 11 a.m. on the Delaney Park Strip. Strides is a non-competitive 5K walk for the entire community. For more information, go to makingstrideswalk.org/AnchorageAK. Generously supported by our media outreach partner, Diagnostic Health Alaska.
Being a child with a chronic condition doesn't allow them to experience being a kid like I experienced being a kid. Make-A-Wish allows them to be goofy, to be silly, and for a few days, it allows them to forget the fact that they have this chronic condition. That is a tremendous gift that Make-A-Wish gives to these kids and to their families.
The Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium provides comprehensive health services for Alaska Native and American Indian people across our state. In addition to world-class care at the Alaska Native Medical Center, our work delivers health services for rural Alaska. From cutting-edge technology for the best care possible, to modern construction of clean water systems and health clinics, to health training and outreach that honors our culture, our vision is that Alaska Native people are the healthiest people in the world.
Best thing about summer, it gives us a chance to get away from it all. And if you want to escape from the hustle and bustle of Homer's Spit, head across the bay 12 miles to Halibut Cove, where you can find art, food, and life on the water.
So we're going down the Narrows. Behind is Moff Island and Halibut Cove. And this land here on our left was a homestead that my father bought in the late 40s.
In its heyday in the 1920s, kegs of salted herring went out in steamer boats.
There used to be 42 salteries here in Halibut Cove.
Today, it's an isolated community with fewer than 20 people year-round. But in the summer, Marion Beck brings the town to life. Her tour boat, the Danny J, brings visitors here every day. They come to see the sights and eat at Marion's gourmet restaurant, the Saltery, which she opened more than 30 years ago.
It needs to look really fresh, and if you don't really make it yourself, it's not fresh.
All of the vegetables are grown in local gardens. Even the dinner plates are made here.
So I'm just in the process of doing a new batch that I'm gonna fire in the kiln.
The bread is homemade, so is the restaurant's famous chocolate cheesecake. So many details, all part of the experience.
I don't think it's obsessive compulsive, it's just perfect.
Are they rinsed yet? You said no?
Marion depends on Chef Adam Walker for his artistry in the kitchen. In the winter, he works at an exclusive Utah ski resort, but in the summer, he perfects his seafood repertoire. Octopus is one of his specialties, harvested at its prime. It tastes a lot like shrimp and is one of the favorites on the menu.
You're gonna go for the octopus?
Oh, yeah.
This couple is from Connecticut. Kim Stillwell, though, is originally from Homer.
It's this sort of unique, one-of-a-kind experience, you know, taking a ferry to a very small, isolated place.
I spent most of my life in cities, pretty big cities, and the sense of both combination of small town and natural beauty is just, it's pretty awesome.
As for the economic potential of Alaska tourism,
I think it's vast. We were in New York City a week and a half ago, right? And this is as good as anything you could possibly get there.
the Saltery did get a write-up in the New York Times, which has brought a lot of business here. But with the state's economy headed towards a recession, there are worries tourism could see setbacks. I mean, it's hard to be optimistic right now. How come you're optimistic?
I think we have started our own snowball down a hill, and we're gonna make it.
Marion says the Alaska tourism industry benefits from what she calls earned advertising. In other words, word of mouth.
Earned advertisement. It means you're not paying for advertisement, you've earned your advertisement by physically being persistent.
We found an example of that from a couple from Philadelphia who were drawn here by artwork from Halibut Cove.
I heard about it from a friend who actually purchased a beautiful painting. She said it was absolutely their favorite town in Alaska.
Speaking of artwork,
This is Jay Green's work here.
just down the boardwalk, Marion has an art gallery. You can find some of her work here, as well as from other Halibut Cove artists. Marion says her recipe for success is to offer a variety of experiences.
Having more than one thing going is stimulating, and you don't forget it.
Tourists who stay here for several days find all kinds of things to delight them.
Okay.
Boardwalks and trails to hike, horses to pet.
Tango in the back, and then the Red Horses Parfait.
And on the water, there are kayaks to explore the cove and its wildlife.
I want them to be astonished. I want them to come up here and go, wow, I'm out on an island somewhere and this is really cool. And somebody's taken a lot of time to make it that way.
For Marion, her tourism business is a never-ending passion project.
I wanted to have the beach on the dock, a tide pool on the docks, and then creatures live inside of it when the tide's out. And it's next to my beach with the campfire over here. So it's like part of my beach camping experience.
The outdoor part of the restaurant was built into the side of a cliff to enhance what Marion believes is Alaska's greatest selling point.
Alaska is tremendously beautiful. What we have seen would take your breath away.
So with all this success, will Marion expand?
No, I don't want to expand it. I want it to feel like this feels, like you're out on an island somewhere. And I don't want it to be commercial feeling.
but one of authenticity, what she believes tourists come to Alaska to experience in the first place. Marion Beck's father, Clem Tillian, homesteaded in Halibut Cove in 1948, and from the age of 10, she worked on his fishing boat. At 16, she piloted boats between Homer and Halibut Cove. And coming up this fall, we will profile her father, Clem. Never met a man who kept a coffin in his study. True story. Well, summertime, and the living is easy, especially this summer with unseasonably warm weather across our state. In the Bristol Bay area, that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Both locals and visitors alike said that they got out into the country and got a lot done this summer.
A lot of work for me this summer, and that's always a good thing when you can work.
And I got whale white scan. You know, you get a little, I know, vitamin D.
Catching up moose was pretty neat. Probably last pretty much the winter.
Everybody's so happy because they all got their berries.
I got to take my daughter on her first boat ride.
Everybody caught a lot of fish and the price was good, but it was a little too hot.
Oh well, relief is on the way. It looks like the first blush of autumn is settling into the trees and tundra. Well, next week, we'll bring you a story that you will find hard to forget.
I was still addicted to heroin.
We take you behind prison walls to see the Lullaby Project at work. Inmates at Highland Mountain have collaborated with local musicians to write a lullaby to be recorded on a CD and then given to their children. Shauna has been in prison for about 4 years and has only had phone visits with her 2 kids. And the worst part, she knows she's completely responsible for missing out on raising them.
I chose drugs over my children, and that's not an easy thing to say.
Madison Riley, I want you to know I love you.
15 women, 15 musicians, and the magic of song. Next week, we'll explore a Frontiers of the Heart. We'll hope that you and yours have a safe and happy Labor Day weekend. We leave you with one last tribute to summer scenes from a peony farm in Homer, put to music from a local guitarist, John Anderson. See you next week.